All right. I said I was going live, and I'm going live. So, hey, folks who are just discovering me for the first time, my name is Beth. I am a decluttering life coach, and my coaching is called Destination Decluttered. What I do is I help you, I help folks, I help anybody who is struggling with clutter and stuff and things that are weighing them down. And I help you release what is no longer working for you in your life so you can live lighter. You're not spending your time always cleaning your house or feeling guilty about, I always say cleaning, I mean decluttering. Cleaning, that's a slightly different story. But anyhow, that's what I do. I coach people on Zoom, and recently I have just been so tickled to show up doing TikTok lives to help folks that have maybe never met me or just are struggling, because I'm good at it. I'm good at it. I like to help people. If you're struggling, if there's something I can do for you, that's just how I roll. All right. For those of you who may have tuned in before and seen things, yeah, there's a different background, different color. That's because I'm on the East Coast of the United States. It is a gloomy day today, but I wanted to get into one of the rooms that cheers me up. Excuse me. Get a little nice cup of tea, and try to not let the gloom infect the room, as it were. I'm also like, should I do this? Oh, you know what? If I do that, you guys do this. You guys might get a little bit more. Yeah, there we go, mixing it up. So if you have any clutter and stuff that you are that you're jammed up with, you're stuck, you're struggling, you don't know what to do. This is what I do all the time. Is I help people with what they're stuck. I used to be. Let me share with you. I mean, I'm surrounded right now by books and things that I've collected over the years, so I know what it's like to buy things that you don't really need. I mean, who really needs like over 100? I can think of which one. Little plastic snow domes. I get like over 100 of these displayed in my house. But what I want to share with you is just because you have stuff and it doesn't mean it's clutter. Clutter is the stuff that you have that doesn't do it for you anymore and maybe never did. It doesn't light you up. It doesn't tell you a good story. You're not excited to have it. You kind of look at it and it's either something that you already own that you know you want to keep and it's just not in its home, or clutter is stuff that got into your house because of one way or another. Usually, I'll just throw this out there for people. If the clutter is stuff we've brought into our own homes, this just means that it's something that we thought was going to make our lives better, and we bought it, and for whatever reason, it doesn't. So hanging on to the stuff that doesn't work for us just weighs you down. And I love to travel. Next week, I'm going away for multiple days, so I'm not going to be doing TikTok lives. But I say this because I love that freedom, and I love feeling like I'm not tethered and weighted and heavy to my house. Also, when I travel, I was talking to somebody, I think it was a client or maybe on one of these things, that feeling of like when you come back to your house after vacation, like, that vacation feeling, you're in like a place that's nice and clean and there's no worries and all that kind of stuff. And I, for years, would come home, even just from a road trip or a daily, like zooming around doing, thrifting and collecting. And I would kind of dread coming home, because my home didn't feel good for years to myself. Or when my life was better, but I was still kind of cluttered because I didn't know how. Okay, so we have our first question. So Teal May, I will say, I'm drowning, but I have physical disabilities and I can't ask people to help. Now, I am so sorry that you have physical disabilities that are, making you, are affecting you. You have disabilities that are affecting you physically. And it sucks that you're thinking that you're drowning. But here, I'm going to throw you a little life raft, like one of those little round ones. Okay, so grab yourself on it. Know that you're floating. You're not drowning. You're floating. You may not be like where you are, but you're okay. The thing I want to question too is just look. You don't need to get into a detail, but I am curious as to why you can't ask people for help. Now, I know. Trust me, if I had gotten help for what was bugging me decades ago, I wouldn't be talking to you right now because my life would be different. Now, the cool thing is I love my life, but I say that because I know how difficult it can be to admit you need help and ask for it. That is one of the most tough things we humans struggle with, is daring to ask for help. But what I want to assure you is that if you ask people to help, if you put it out there that you need help, help is there for you, but it doesn't know you need it until you ask for it. Okay? So I would encourage you to see who can you ask. If you've got family, if you've got friends, if you've got neighbors. Like, I am literally looking at a neighbor's house right now. She is a little bit older than me. She has fibromyalgia. My husband and I help her out as often as we can. We also helped her when she was living with her 90-plus-year-old dad. But I also know other people in her church, other people in the community. Like, people do what they can. So please, this is to the question just said, drowning, can't ask for help. Please, everybody, just know that whatever you are struggling with, there is somebody out there. You can get help. There is help out there. You just have to do what I call that scary shortcut. You have to take that scary shortcut that makes you feel uncomfortable, that ask for help. Ask for help and it will appear. I mean, heck, maybe just you saying you need help and popping onto TikTok and seeing me and me saying to you that you can ask for help. That might just be that little lift you need to be like, you know what? She's right. I'm just going to, call my church, call, services, whomever. But there is help out there, okay? And you're not drowning. I already sent you a little floaty thing, so you're doing okay, all right? What else do we have ticket-wise? Okay, yep, embarrassment and shame. Get over that. And I don't say get over it like, oh, it's so easy. I'm not embarrassed and shamed. But here's the deal. When embarrassment and shame is keeping you, a feeling and a thought inside your head is keeping you from getting help. If you talk to that, so embarrassment and shame and drowning and can't, those are all thoughts that if you and I were in a coaching session, this is how I coach. So this will be good for anybody who's on here to know how I explain things, and maybe it'll click with you, is those negative thoughts that you have that keep you stuck from where you are, that are stopping you from moving forward and even just getting help, is, and this is good because somebody, Green Joe, just said, why is it so hard to let go of things, holding on to so much and feelings? It's what I call your backseat driver's voices. So here's a good thing. Everybody, pretend we're in a group coaching session, right? I'm speaking to everybody, every single one of you people who are just tuned on. Thank you so much for showing up. I love doing these because what I am sharing with you is what I kind of got from different places and made it my own, and it was worked for me. So this is what I want you to imagine. I want you to imagine you are in the driver's seat of a car. And when I do that, I inevitably go like this because you have your hands on the steering wheel. And in the driver's seat of a car, you can steer your life to wherever you want to go. Your hands are on the wheel. Your foot is on the gas or on the brake. Your eyes get to imagine what awesome stuff is in your windshield, or your eyes, if you don't watch it, you're looking in the rear view mirror. But you also have what I call your backseat drivers. Backseat drivers are any of those negative voices in your head, thoughts that you have. They may not even sound negative, but anything that's keeping you feeling stuck and not moving in the direction that you want to go to, that's a backseat driver thought. And they are usually the ones that have been talking a wicked lot in the car. They're like little kids in car seats that are ba 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 all the time. So you just begin to, because of the repetition, you begin to believe what they're saying is true. And I am here to tell you 100% that what they say is not 100% true. What I want to offer to you, though, so pay attention and just know that anything, when you feel overwhelmed, backseat driver thoughts, and say, oh, that's little kids in the backseat. They are telling me things, but they're not really true. They just want to keep you stuck for different reasons. What I want to offer to you guys, though, this made such a difference. For years, I only thought that the thoughts in my head were my backseat drivers. I believed them. I stayed stuck. I didn't do things, simple things, scary things. I didn't do anything to get myself out of what I was doing. I just freaking complained, and I thought, well, I guess this is what my life's like. Well, maybe next life I'll do better. No, I am telling you from the other side, it doesn't have to be that way. What I just want to tell you, and then I'll get back to the questions because I see some questions popping in, is I need to impart this with you, that there is another voice in your car. When you're behind the driver's seat, you're in the driver's seat, there's another voice that you probably haven't heard a lot because the kids are talking so much. You've got a co-pilot. And I point over to the passenger seat would be, because I am in the U.S. and this is how we drive cars. If I was in the U.K., I'd be like going the other way. What I want to offer to you is, when you are able to quiet down, and you can do this with deep breathing, meditation, I've got some self-hypnosis type things, anything that I call to calm down the kids in the back seat, that gives your co-pilot an opportunity to speak up. I am basically your co-pilot. Every time I show up like your co-pilot on the kick-ass road trip that we call life. You tell me where you want to go. I say, this is how we can get there. I will be there for you. I encourage you. And especially that always happens in my one-on-one coaching stuff that I do. You can find out at my website, decluttered.com. There you can also sign up for my mailing list because next week we're doing a members-only Zoom call where you can ask your questions and I answer it for everybody. So I just want to give that visual, if nothing else, to do that is to just realize that the voices in your head that are keeping you stuck, that it's not the only voice. You have another one that just wants you to go live the best life you have, okay? That is what I call my just drive your life process. Let me see. Oh gosh, we got a whole bunch of things, and thank you everybody for showing up. Yeah, this is my this is our living room. Somebody said they liked the pink color. Yeah, I purposely chose this pink color because I love bright colors. Every room in our house is painted like a different color, and I picked it to ensure that on a gray, crappy day like it is today, that the color would still be warm. I've also got some lights on, so there's that. But thank you. What do we got? Yep. See already. People are asking to help. You can get help. Oh, funny. Thank you, Penny Pigtails. The frames suit me so well. I have had to wear glasses for forever, and for years I wore contacts, and now I just decided I'm in my big frames. I'm in my big frames era. Okay. So I will say this. So I or L Green Joe mentioned, why is it so hard to let go of things? Feelings. Nothing more than feelings. Sorry, I am of an age where my secondary language, I'm a Gen Xer, so my secondary language is pop culture. And when I coach and when I speak in real life, this is what I do. So you hit it spot on, my friend. Feelings. Feelings inside you. Feelings are basically thoughts you have that make you feel a way, that either allow you to release something or they may have you cling on to things. So what I will say is, I think the feeling you should have is this lighting me up or is it weighing me down? Is this thing in my life adding to the life I want to live through my windshield, or is it keeping me heavy and stuck where I want to be? Okay. So pay attention to your feelings about the things and see if you can release them. And I can help you with that with coaching. I love this. I started what you said about 5 minutes a day yesterday, and it feels great. Thank you for letting me know that what I am putting out there is helping you, because this makes a huge difference. This is the reason why for the past week I have taken an hour plus out of my life every morning to sit and basically talk to my phone. And because I really am serious about helping you with what you're struggling with clutter and stuff. Because I know I have been there, and it feels like it's overwhelming and it feels difficult. And I'm not saying it's easy all the time, but I'm also going to tell you it is not so difficult all the time, you know? And when I say time, this is great. So Petra316 just said, I started with, you said 5 minutes a day. So this is what I offer to everybody. Again, I am giving you, when you show up here, and just check me out on TikTok, a couple of things. You're going to find these are the things I would tell anybody I was in a one-on-one coaching session with. Now, obviously, when you talk, you mention a question. When you post a question. Thank you. I can't get too specific because there's a whole bunch of people here. But what I will offer to you are the tips and processes that I use in my coaching. And if it resonates with you, feel free to sign up for a consultation for one of my 10-week programs. But anyhow, one of the things I offer to you for free right now is that notion of setting a timer. The way to overcome being overwhelmed with any project is to chunk it on down now into smaller sections so you can start and you can make some movement. If you're overwhelmed by the whole thing, you ain't never going to start. And there are many ways you can chunk things down. And one that is really great because it gives you that dopamine rush that many of my fellow ADHD people and my clients have a hard time getting motivated to do cleaning because it's going to just be boring. So I start is setting a timer and then saying to yourself, for the amount of time this timer is on, whether it's 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes. I usually say start with 20 because that kind of gets you into the groove. You actually will make a visible difference. But if you only have 5 minutes, you will be amazed at how much you can get done in 5 minutes. When you do that, you say to yourself, okay, something like, I'm only going to pick up the surface clutter in this room, or I'm only going to work on this room, and I'm going to put away the things that I know that go away. I'm going to put the trash in the trash. Whatever it is, Pick something that you know is going to make a difference in that one particular room. Don't go spreading your energy. Don't go from one room to another. Don't distract yourself. The 20 minutes is to focus your time and yourself into a certain space, knowing that you only have to do it until the timer goes off. Then when the timer goes off, when it goes off, that reward, you get a zing, you get like a high five, right? You high five yourself because you just showed up for 20 minutes, okay? And it makes a difference. It really does. And if you do that again and again, oh crap, I didn't bring my, as I usually do this from my desk, I brought some stuff out with me, but I have a habit tracker that I created, and it looks like a map of the U.S. with a piece of graph paper over it. And basically what it is a fun way to remind yourself to show up for the little tiny things that are important to you. And if you just put on your habit tracker, this is the infomercial part that you get free if you sign up for my mailing list, is you at destinationdecluttered.com/join. Every time you do that, every time you pave in a little paver, I call it pavers and potholes. Every time you do that, you're like, yeah, I showed up. I did my 20 minutes of decluttering. It's like a monthly template. You can use it for the rest of your life once you get it. Just print it out and color it in. But you will be amazed at just a few days showing up doing 20 minutes or however long makes a difference. That's another one of my mantras. Every little bit helps, okay? How do you declutter a roommate stuff? You don't because it's really hard to change somebody else. And here's what I would want to offer. So Cindy Morris, I get it. Anybody living with other people in your homes, and the clutter isn't necessarily you, it could be them. What I want to make sure is before you start on somebody else's clutter, and this goes to everybody, for spouses, for little kids, for whomever you are sharing a house with. My husband just sneezed, so I share a house with him. I'm speaking from experience, is get your own act together. Make sure that your clutter is in order, that you can't be pot calling kettle black, as they would say. No, I'm not saying that you aren't, but just everybody. Remember where you're coming from. We're not perfect. We are not perfect. Our roommates are not perfect either. But then the other thing I want to offer too is come at it. If you want to help somebody with their clutter, this is what I'm doing. I am coming at that situation with an open mind, with love in my heart and curiosity as to why they are cluttered. Now, some people were never taught the steps of how to keep decluttered and maintain that. Some people grew up in a home like myself that things got to chaos, things got piled up, and then, oh my gosh, then it was like a panic cleaning and shoving things in closets. And, it was like, it was never like, oh, we just do a little bit every day. And then every time you did it, it was a stress thing, So some people were just not taught. So have some compassion for them. They can learn. I learned. I fell into some jobs and some things that I did throughout the many wonderful chapters of my many wonderful chaptered life that gave me some skills that worked in my job. But then I also said, oh, if I apply this to my house, suddenly all my like items are together. Suddenly I am, visual merchandising my own bookcases, and they look nice, and it feels so much better. The other thing too is maybe there isn't a place for their stuff. And this is not just maybe there isn't a home for all their things. And maybe too, seriously, so much of it is just habits. Habits, people. You got in the habit of throwing your coat on that chair when you come in. It just becomes a habit. A habit is a connection in your brain. And I always love it because I deal with things like when you're in your car and you're traveling and you're doing road tripping. A habit is you do something and there's a paved road to what you do with that thing. I come in the house, I take off my coat. There's a paved road that makes it easy for me to throw that coat on the chair because that's what I always do. What clutter coaching, when I coach with you, what declutter coaching is we basically are starting with that. I open the door and we just pave a new paved, nice, easy road by repetition to doing something that's better that keeps you from being cluttered in the first place. A lot of it is so many little things. Oh, thank you for the roses, people. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. so much of it is just you've gotten into the habit of doing something. It's a routine. Just be curious about what you do that causes you when you're about to, like, I don't know, like throw your, put your keys down, or put your mail anywhere that you don't have a specific place to it. Catch yourself and say, oh, I should probably get a better habit with these things. Now, again, this is when I feel like, and I'm being very overt with this because I never want somebody to think that I'm sneakily trying to sell you something, because what I'm going to tell you is free. But that decluttering or that habit tracker that I made, when you sign up for my mailing list, I just figured this is a way for me to get something that I know is going to help you out early. Oh, thank you. Or get something out to as many people that can help you for free, is you get 2 of the habit trackers. Now, one of them is completely blank, and you can fill in anything you want to track. Like, I try to make sure I drink 2 giant bottles of water, and I try to make sure I get a bunch of steps in. Like that boring stuff that, trust me, if I don't pay attention to that, I barely drink water during the day. So I have to remind myself of these things. And since I know I'm tracking them, it kind of puts it in my mind. But the other habit tracker you get is already pre-populated with like 10 wicked, easy peasy, smidgy little tiny things that I'm telling you, if you just take care of these 10 little things, you will see such a noticeable difference even in the first week of starting the habit tracker. And then you do it every week, and then every time you do it, you are paving a little bit more. You're making that path a little bit more easy for you to get to. And also the older habit, the weeds start growing up on that road. Like, you're paving one road and the other one's going out of commission. It's kind of like Route 66 in a way, okay? So, yeah, have an open-hearted conversation with your roommate. Also, just agree, help them. If they say they're struggling, help them. And also kind of get an idea. And this is why this is a good opportunity for me to bring up why I call it destination decluttered, is get yourself in the, envision what you want your life to look and feel like. I wanted my life to look and feel like I have a cool, funky little old house that was built in the 50s. I envisioned that house having different paint colors in every wall and only being surrounded by what I love. I had a picture in my mind's eye as to what I wanted, and lo and behold, I got it. So that's the best thing too. I want to offer this to every single one of you, everybody on this call. I'm talking to you. Spend a few quiet moments today envisioning what your life could look and feel like, and just know that destination for you, no matter what it is, it's different for everybody, but that destination is worth you driving to. You are worth living a life that you love. You weren't put on the planet to live a life of misery. That's just, whatever. And even if you were, buck the system. Live a life you love. Show them you can live a life you want. Check me out. I'm living a life I love. But you won't do that unless you believe in the things, unless you see it in your mind's eye and have a little bit of belief that you can get there, okay? So I say this in the context of the question about the roommate. Maybe you and your roommate can sit there and say, man, wouldn't it look awesome if this place looked clean? We can invite people over, whatever. If you guys have a mutual picture of what you want your, wherever you live to look and feel like, you can both work towards it, okay? What else do we have? Thank you. Cute hair. Yep. Just put a bunch of product in it. It's raining. Oh, and this is good too. So somebody says, good morning, listening for the lesson. Here's a lesson I want to give you, because this is going to help you massively. Is, here I am. This is my face. I wear glasses. I have short hair. Here's my background. I tend to talk with my hands. Other than that, you're not going to see a damn thing on this screen that's going to help you. It's just me yakking, right? I tell you that because what you can do is put your phone down now. You can hear me speaking and answering the questions, but when I am talking, you can be up in your own space using your 2 hands. And for the time that I am on, you can be learning something new. You can be thinking new thoughts. You can try on some new things that I'm talking about as you start to clean up some of your clutter. There's only so much motivating that you need. And at a certain point, you have to literally, like if you were in your car, you literally have to turn the key and put your foot off of the brake and get into gear and start driving. It's only you who's going to get yourself to put the phone down, stand up, and say, what can I do in this time? And here's what I want to offer. I want to make it easy. Is there are 3 levels of clutter that I talk about in my coaching. There's surface clutter on the very top. Bless you. There's surface clutter on the very top. There is stored clutter, which I say doors and drawers. It's like stuff behind doors and drawers. And then there's sentimental clutter. So while we are talking here and you're absorbing some new info from me, and I'm maybe giving you some tips and tricks, The surface clutter is the easy stuff. That's the stuff that you can listen to things. You don't really have to make decisions because it's either like it goes in the trash, it goes in the recycles. Dirty laundry goes where the dirty laundry goes. Dirty dishes goes where the dirty dishes goes. Things like that. So you know where the surface stuff. If it's not where it's supposed to be, you could put away all the surface stuff in one room, in multiple rooms, however, and still listen to me as if I were a podcast, okay? Now, this doesn't work so well with stored clutter or especially sentimental clutter because those levels of clutter need you to listen to yourself. That's when you ask yourself questions and you listen for your answers. But for what we're doing right now, can you imagine what a difference it would be? Like I started this at 9 o'clock. I will probably be on I know I'm going to be on for at least another half hour. If you have the time and you're listening to me anyway, wherever you are, put the phone down, turn up the speaker a little bit, and then start decluttering your home. Somebody told me that they did that yesterday, and she said it made a world of difference. So I just want to offer that to you, okay? All right, here we go. A whole bunch of new questions spring up. What do we have here? Oh, I see a bunch of stuff. And I want to say this too. I may miss some questions because there are so many that get kind of lost in the chats, in the stuff, clutter. Everything okay out there?
Yeah, coffee.
Okay. My husband's awake. Anyhow, I lost my train of thought. Hold on. I can get it back. Questions. The way that these show up for me, there'll be no questions and it will stop, and then I go to move it and it's like whoosh, it just flies, a million of them. So what I want to offer is this, is if I don't answer your question, do not take it personally. I did not skip over it intentionally. It did not, I was not able to find it in the questions that are in front of me. But here's what I want to offer. Is if I didn't answer your question, there's a way for you to send me a message on TikTok right now. And even if you're watching this, I have started to upload these to YouTube. So if you know people who are not on TikTok or are not on TikTok like right now live, but you think what I'm saying would help them, send them over to the Destination Decluttered YouTube page. And if they hear it then, and there's so wherever you're seeing this, because this is the only two places this will be, is if you have a question that I didn't answer, send me a message. Put it in the comments on YouTube. Send me a message here on TikTok, and I can make a video that will answer your question. Because the thing that you're struggling with, I'm going to tell you, you're not alone. The answer to your question could help a ton of other people. Okay? So don't take it personally if I somehow don't see your question. The other thing I want to say is I love the fact that other people who do see the questions are trying to help. So isn't it nice that we're all kind of there to help our fellow human being with what they're struggling with? That's why I'm here. So thank you. I just wanted to say that. Okay. So I do see one. Husband is cluttered. Husband had a lot of stuff and it's all over the house. He passed away and now it's too painful. Yeah, I will say this. I totally get it. There is such an emotional component to what as I said, you've got surface clutter, you get stored clutter, sentimental clutter. Everything that tells you a personal story about somebody is sentimental clutter. And what I want to offer to you too is work on a timeline that works for you. You're going to need to heal. You're going to need to feel it where the wound is not so painful. So don't rush yourself into it. But when you feel like you want to start to declutter, what I would also offer is, this is how I like to think of it, is whoever has passed is looking down at you from above, and they just want you to be happy. And I bet your husband would want you to be happy and not feel sad and not be feeling overwhelmed by all the stuff that he collected during his mortal time here on earth. So think of the fact that your husband wants you to be happy with the life you have. Sentimental clutter makes us feel some feelings. But here's what I want to offer too. Initially, when you're going through their stuff, it may be, grief and pain and the feelings we don't want to feel. But sometimes when we stop ourselves from feeling the feelings we don't want to feel, we also block the fact that there are some good feelings. You're going to find some stuff in his things that will remind you of the good times. Now, again, that's going to be a little bit bittersweet, but it's going to be the good stuff. So when we stop ourselves from feeling the bad things, we stop ourselves from feeling anything, we also don't allow ourselves to feel the good stuff. Now, I say this as a perfect example because my husband out there, we just went through a box a couple of months ago of his dad's stuff that he had wanted to not go through for years. And I'm like, that's fine. It's not taking up much room, like whenever you're ready. But at a certain point, I'm like, it's been 16 years and it's a small box. Let's just deal with this. Well, we did it, and we discovered things about his dad that we never knew. We discovered a really cool thing, like this awesome letter that he got, like when he was a midget sprint car driver, about somebody thought, Bob's got a future in front of him. This is really good. Had we not gone through that stuff, we wouldn't have found that really cool thing. So I want to assure you, there will be feelings involved, but they are not all pain. Okay. And I'm so sorry your husband died. That sucks. What else do we have here? How can I go through papers that are mixed with photos and papers that are upsetting to see again? Okay, here's the wonderful thing. This is a part of your brain that you can just play a matching game. I often talk about when I was at my grandmother's house when we were growing up. She didn't have a lot of games, but she had playing cards around. So we would do concentration where you would put the cards all down, face down, and you would try to find matches, right? And you'd be like, oh yeah, ace of spades, whatever. And that kind of delight when you found a match. Use that delight to say, I'm going to sort my items. And this is the mantra that I use when I coach, because I've learned it for years when I used to work back in the 80s at Pier 1 Imports. Anybody remember that? Wicker? Like items together. Think about it when you go to a store. You don't have things all over the place. You get the whole candle section, or you get the whole, the wicker basket wall, or you got all your cushions on one place, right? So what I want to offer to you is when you have papers, you already say they're mixed up with photos. So go through that and start making a pile. Make a pile of papers, and then you say papers go here, photos go here, papers go here, photos go here, papers go here, photos go here. It's a part of your brain that you don't even have to think about it much, because you're all of a sudden you'll use the pattern recognition in your brain to help you just. Papers here, things that you don't go through. You don't go through every paper, and you don't start looking at every photo. All you do is you put like items together. Then when you have those piles, then you can go through and further define them. Now, I will say there will be certain places where, like the papers, for example, you might know immediately when you see it without having to engage a certain thought process that, oh, that's just going into the recycle bin. If you have any other question, if it takes you more than 2 seconds to make a decision, just put it in the pile of papers, and then know that you will follow up. Then make yourself follow up. Say, then I'm going to follow up. Set my timer for 20 minutes and just go through this pile of papers and decide what to do with them. Okay? Like items together and setting a timer. That's what I would offer to any of my paying coaching clients. I'm offering it to you for free because I know it's going to help and it's going to make you feel better. That's what I am here for. At least for the next couple of days. Actually, today, it's funny. Today, I think, today's my last official TikTok live that I'm going to do. I may do one tomorrow afternoon because people are saying I get up too early. We're going to be in the car for a few hours tomorrow, too. So if it's cool with my husband, I told him I want to experiment with that. So we'll see. And then next week, I'm going traveling for a couple of days, but I'm going to take care of you all. Do not worry. I have a whole bunch of ideas that are going to ensure that you have some good clutter support while I am putting my little toesers in the sand if it's warm enough where we go. Okay, so don't worry, I'm gonna take care of you. Okay, because it's important. I had to time my daughter to clean her room. She's now 24. Hey, you know what? She still calls me to time her. This is what I love. Find a system that works for you. That may not work for everybody. If it works for you and it works for her, rock on. Rock on with it. I say that also with, especially with the ADHD people. So much of the world has been designed, and so many of these, so many ways to keep you on track and all that are designed for what they call the neurotypical people. What I want to offer is I know what it's like to have ADHD. I have it in my family, got a bit of it myself, my husband. I love working with brains that are unique because those are the brains that really do some cool things. Not to say everybody's brain does not do cool things, but what I have found for myself is the way that I have been able to declutter my home and life and stay that way then allows me to use my brain to create things, not to have to worry about what I got to buy at Target. I allow my brain to flourish and do the things only my brain can do. And it's such a cool thing. All right, what else do we have? Whoop, a whole flurry. Okay, here's an interesting thing. Six Sheet says, I feel like every time I unclutter, a week later, we are cluttered again. You know what? You know what that means? You just have some habits. You have some habits that make it that you're clutter. You're putting stuff down where it doesn't belong. Pay attention to your habits. Sign up for my mailing list, destinationdecluttered.com/join. You get a habit tracker. And as I said, one of them has like 10 little things that you can just track to be like, where do I put this? Where do I put that? Get yourself into the new habit of not cluttering up, and then you declutter, you get decluttered, and you stay that way. Yeah. ADHD can be very debilitating, but also you can learn how to flourish with the brain you have. I know it. Somebody says, don't know what to do with all of it. Yeah, it's a decision. And what I want to offer to everybody is decluttering is getting really good at decision making. And it's getting really good at, and this is the part I love, and this is why I call myself the decluttering life coach, okay? Because every decision you make about this stuff should support the person you want to be, that the person you are now that you love, and the best version of the person and the life that you want to be in the future. Okay? So when you are making decisions saying, does this fit in my life? Does this fit in my life now? If it did back in the day and it doesn't now, that's fine. Release it. It shows that you're just evolving through your life, as we all should be doing. If you do like it, keep it. Like, as I said earlier, see this little tacky little snow dome? This is actually a really tiny one. I'm looking up every time I do this because on either side of me, I have 2 IKEA bookcases. And on the very top of them, I literally have like over 100 of these, because every time I used to collect these in the 80s and 90s. But every time I move, I'm just like, I just still kind of like them. You may not want these in your living room, but every time I see them, it reminds me of travel. It reminds me of all sorts of good things. So I have made a decision that works for me. Okay. Okay. What do we have? Oops. And as I said, I might not get to your thing. My husband says we're just move stuff. Yeah. More needs to leave the house. Yeah. It's inputs and outflows. Oh, thank you. Oh, I love that. Mara 101 just said, I played with the toys that you have with my therapist yesterday, and she loved it and is using. Now that's gold, Jerry. I appreciate that. And seriously, anything that you learn from me, share it with somebody else. If you know that what I do would really help somebody you know, let them know I'm around. When I give my time and when I give my advice, it's not like I don't have it anymore. It means somebody else gets to benefit from it. I like to call it that Fabergé organic shampoo. You tell 2 friends and so on and so on and so on. It just helps to get it. I think it's like a network effect of Seth Godin, maybe something like that. Okay, so I'm glad you shared that. Let's see. Okay, I have a house of 6 and 5. It's the ADHD, treading water. Yeah, it's really paying attention to the habits and tricks that will be specific for the ADHD brain. I didn't realize, actually, I think it was this morning. This morning I posted a video. I recorded it yesterday and then I ran out of time. But talking about the things that I didn't even realize that I do in my own life to keep myself on track so I don't forget things, because sometimes things that should become habits kind of become habits, but then you forget them. So there are different ways that you can deal with your brain, and there's different approaches that help to get the ADHD brain doing the things that they want to do and not feel better. What should I do with old photos that I want to keep? Well, this is going to be silly of me. I'm like, I just keep them. Just keep them. But what I want to offer is this, is first of all, if they are of that nature of the, like the family 8x10 glossy, like whatever, like the precious, take good care of them. And this is as easy as getting an archival box, a small archival box, like from IKEA, or not IKEA, I mean like on Amazon, just archival, because it means that there's I used to be an art history major, so I know a lot about like museum curation and stuff, but get a box that is pH neutral, so what the box is made of will not fade or damage the photos. Save those there. But the other thing too is, especially if it's family photos, take pictures of them, digitize them, get them digitized so you can share them with the family. Back in the day, we didn't have the ability of doing that. You'd have, maybe if you were lucky, you had like one snapshot or a handful of snapshots of some family. God forbid you looked like crap in them. Oh my gosh, you were stuck. You were going to be like, that's that weird old aunt. Nowadays, I also offer, there's so many pictures of you, throw away the ones that you feel like you look like crap in. Curate your own history for 100 years from today as, was it Dex Beneke? No. Anyhow, digress. That's my ADHD brain, is it works faster than I can speak. So yes, archival box. Sort out the ones that you don't look good in. Any of those ones, remember back in the day when you get automatic doubles? Oh my God, just throw those away too. And then digitize them and share them. Even if you're just taking a picture to say, hey, remember this memory if it's not a keeper. And then also, I will say this, with family photos, with anything that you are saving of kind of like a historical, family historical nature, get the other generations, get the other people in the family involved, and get the younger generations involved. I do a series, working on doing a series of videos where I talk specifically about parental clutter. And one of the videos that I did recently was just talking about that, the things that you have that are around you that have a story in them that only you know. Like this is the silverware that so-and-so had, or this is the mug that somebody gave me. And share the stories. And somebody commented, which I was so touched, was their grandson said, I want to tell me the stories. Tell me the stories of your stuff. Why do you have it in your home? Share those stories, because when you pass, the stories are gone. Okay? What else do we have? Meeting like this every day helps a lot. Jen and Atticus, I am glad you think so, and I'm hoping it helps. What I'm hoping you're doing, though, too, is not just listening to me and being like, oh, this is so inspirational. This is so great. I'm not saying you're doing it. Put the phone down and declutter while I'm talking. And this might be a good time for me to also say, so next week, starting on Wednesday for like a week, I am going to be off the grid. I am working on my own boundaries where I'm going on vacation, and I will not be showing up as often as I would as if I was like at work, which is, this is part of what I do. But what I will offer is, I know because I do these every day. Some of you maybe repeat guests that I'm saying, hey, and they say, hey, I remember you, you're helping me. Awesome. Some people may be just tuning in for the first time and like, what's this all about? So I only started to do these TikTok lives kind of like at the first week of February. And I've had some wonderful experiences. But what I notice, because I show up and do them all, is a lot of times many people are asking the same questions. And I think that's totally okay, because it may seem specific to you, but it could be that you're helping somebody else. I say this because when I'm not around, so where are you? Jen and Atticus. Okay, so like next week when I'm not around and doing one of these things, don't be like, oh no, what do I do? I can't declutter because she's not here doing the TikTok lives. I'm not always going to do TikTok lives. But what I do have is I have the recordings of these, of the ones that I've done before, that are on YouTube, on the Destination Decluttered YouTube channel. You can put one of those on and it's the same thing because I'm talking about the same thing. I also will come back and probably do more of them because I enjoy them. But as I said in one of those videos that I did recently about thinking about the words you use, it's like I do these because I want to do them. I'm enjoying doing them. I feel like they are I'm providing value. When I'm on my vacation, that would be more of like I feel like I should or I have to. And then I would begin to resent it because I really want to, I need to for my own life, is to be able to say, I'm going to go on vacation and trust that the world is not going to fall apart if I'm not there. I will provide you all. It's like when I used to manage teams. I was always like a manager. I would always make sure that my teams had all the support they needed when I was gone so they could answer anything. They could do things on their own without me in their lives. And that's kind of like what the coaching thing is that, so I do one-on-one coaching for a 10-week package where we meet once a week on Zoom and specifically just talk about your stuff, like really, really, really focus just on you. I'm just the co-pilot. You say where you want to drive. I help you believe in that and we start driving. But what I will say is part of the coaching process is almost like being like a driving teacher, that I show you the skills that you need in order to, work your car, and you will practice with me there. But the goal is for, at the end of the sessions, for you to be able to drive yourself and practice and keep on doing these things for the rest of your life. Okay? So I just want to offer that to everybody here, is learn the skills, internalize them, put them into practice every day. And it's almost like, again, that bittersweet, like letting the kids out of the nest. Like I love my clients. I do. I feel bittersweet when we stop working together, but I know that I'm kind of allowing them to go, and they're going to drive down the street and not crash a car. They'll know how to do it. And they'll know how to do these things for the rest of their lives and share it with people. Yep, somebody said they threw something made them feel bad, throw away. Hell yeah. Life's too short to be surrounded by stuff that makes you feel bad. Okay, it is tough to throw away sometimes because they were cherished gifts. Now, this is interesting. I love God, I love looking at people's, hearing the words we use, because you say they were cherished gifts. So if it still is a cherished gift, you don't need to give it away. If you cherished it for a while and it's now no longer cherished, that is also okay. You loved it for a while it was here. The other thing I want to offer is 765 flower is this brings up a really good point that I want to just share with you. Oftentimes we only look at the decluttering from one point of view. We look at it as, this is a thing I have and I don't want it anymore, so I am going to lose it. I am giving it away, and now I'm empty of that thing. It's a feeling of loss. What I want to offer, because this may make it easier, is thinking of the other side of it. The thing that you are donating. Now, I don't say throw away. I discourage people from throwing away things as often as I can if there's a place to donate it. Because what I feel like is there is somebody out there on the planet that would be delighted to have the stuff that you are throwing away or donating. That you could help somebody else on the planet live a better life simply by sharing the stuff that is too much for you. Okay? So, yeah. There we go. Oh, funny. Thank you. Yes, give this time to yourself. We will be here when you get back. You will have more insight for us. Exactly. Thank you. Yes, and that's what I do. And the good news is about that is, yeah, like when I show up, I might be like, I just had a total insight and I want to share it with you. Like, I know the flavor of showing up because you want to. And that's why, like when we're doing, so who was that? Vicky, thank you so much for saying that, because this brings a good point. And in a second, I will get to Calm Carolyn. I recognize your name. Hi, nice to see you. I will totally answer you about kitchen cabinets. But here's the thing I want to share with you all, is that difference between I should do this, I should do that, I should do that. That has kind of a negative energy. That's almost like somebody else is telling you what to do is different from I want to. And with Destination Decluttered coaching, and this is what I want to inspire you guys with, is creating a vision of your life and your home, of what it could look like, and falling in love, like getting a crush on that feeling of like, God, I want that. Yeah, that'd be cool. And then wanting that life of declutterment will get you doing the decluttering, because you know it's going to lead to it. It's a whole different flavor when you're saying, I am using my time now decluttering because I know this is going to get me to that life I want, versus I am doing this because somebody else is forcing me to do it and I don't want to do it. It's like being a little kid. You know, it's like cleaning up your room and being resentful for it, or cleaning up your room and turning into like Greg Brady, who has like the cool, groovy place. Okay. So thank you so much for that. Carolyn asks, do you have any strategies for inside kitchen cabinets? Of course I do. I have kitchen cabinets myself. So let's talk about first, if you have food that you store in your kitchen cabinets or your pantry, everybody today, go through your stored food items, your cans, your boxes, your unopened, anything that is unopened. Do a quick check today. What day is today? The 17th? February 17th. And look for expiration dates. Look for expiration years. And if you have stuff that is expired, put it in the trash today. If you have stuff that isn't expired, but it expires within 3 months, have a conversation with yourself to be like, am I really going to eat this? Am I really going to make the thing that this is an ingredient of? And just listen. And what I will say is this: if the answer is, no, I thought I was going to, but I'm not, fine. That's good to know. That is good. That is insight. That is getting to know you. That is getting to know you and being like, yeah, you know, we're not going to have that stewed tomatoes. But you know who's going to want those stewed tomatoes, Johnny? Is somebody at a food pantry, somebody at your church, a little canned food drive. Remember that what you have can help somebody else on the planet. If you just go through your stuff today, Carolyn, if it's food, and then we'll get to things in a minute, because I get a million of those too, is go through stuff that is expired, goes in the trash. Don't eat it. Don't get yourself sick. Like, you are worth not eating expired food, okay? Also, if it expires within 3 months, pull that stuff out. And if you're going to use it, then use it. Make a plan for next week's recipes to include anything that is of that ilk. But if you're like, yeah, even then I'm still not, I don't want these garbanzo beans, put them in a bag and bring them to the food pantry or your church today, this week, next week. Make a plan for them. So Carolyn, that's kitchen cabinets. Kitchen cabinets full of stuff. This is where I love to say, this is a mantra I use about, and remember we talked about, there's surface clutter, there's stored clutter. So cabinets, it's stored. There's walls behind it. But when you open it, it's kind of a hot mess. What I want to offer is this tip, and this is a great life mantra, but it applies to decluttering as well, which is I only deserve the best. What do I mean by that? What I mean is if you have too much stuff in your cupboards, you probably have multiple quantities of the same thing. You probably have a whole bunch of coffee mugs, right? You probably have maybe too many plates or too many like plastic, like free, almost like the free like mugs and stuff that you get. Look at all those. Look at one category, just your coffee mugs, for example, and say, which ones are my favorites? You're going to have favorites. You know you do because they're the ones that you do all the time. There's going to be ones that you use and you wash and you put away and then you use those again. In the meantime, there's almost like a little half circle of ones that never quite get grabbed. And the only time you might use those is if you have multiple people over your house. So look at the ones that you use and pull out your favorites immediately. Surround yourself with what you love. I love this shape of mug because it's got a nice big handle. It's oversized. I like to drink a lot of tea. And I have, it just does it for me. This one, my mother gave me this one, and I'll have it for a while. But the other ones, if it's like, then the stuff that you're not using, say, why am I not using this? And it could be any reason. If you're not using it, that's an easy way for you to pass it along to somebody else. Start a box for your local thrift store or things like that, okay? So it's talking about, that's when you are curating your collection. As a person who used to work in museum studies and art history, you know, first of all, museum, not that your house should be a museum, but take those things into account and think, I am only going to keep the best. And the best is whatever I determine the best is going to be. Same thing with your clothes. Are your clothes making you feel comfortable? Are your clothes in good condition? Do you feel good when you eat them? Wear them? What are your favorites? I only deserve the best. I'm not going to wear the clothes that are uncomfortable. I'm not going to wear the clothes that make me feel like crap because they used to be more comfortable than they are, right? Life is too short. Curate your life so that you're only surrounded by things of like a certain level. You know, it's almost like when you go into, think about this. I don't know who else here has like vintage shopped or thrifted or things like that. But think of the difference between going into a well-curated, awesomely merchandised like vintage shop with all the stuff there and all the like items together and it's clean and all the patterns versus going into a really dirty kind of nasty thrift store. Now I will say there's benefits to both. If you love looking for the diamond in the rough and finding that, you might find that more often, and you will find that at an affordable price, probably at a thrift store more than a well-curated vintage store. But just think of the difference in feeling. So you want your home to only have the things that light you up. If I was at my desk, I would show you my picture of the internal traffic signals. But think of the things that speak to your heart. You're like, oh my God, I love that mug, versus the ones that aren't working. Oh, that one's cracked, that one's chipped. Throw it away, okay? I hope that helps, Carol, and let me know how it goes, okay? Zoom, what else we have here? Yeah, you get your favorites. I mean, literally, seriously, you guys? The only reason I'm using this mug is because my two other favorites are in the kitchen sink and I was too lazy to like clean them out, you know? And we have like 12 other mugs in there. But I share a home with my husband and he has some of his favorite mugs. And occasionally we have people over and we have coffee, so we need some more for that. But really, we don't need as much as we think we do. We tend to use the same things over and over again, okay? Ooh, what was that? I hope it wasn't a bird. Sorry, it's this is live, okay? I'm sitting looking at a window, and I just heard a plop. So I hope it wasn't. I don't think it was a bird. I think I'm gonna say it was an errant acorn. So, oh, see, I love that. We just found the most beautiful vintage prom dress for my 17-year-old. Such a fun experience. Oh, trust me, I am so about the thrill of the hunt and the discovering the hidden gem in the unexpected place. I loved doing that for decades, people. Now, I like it, but it's not the thing. Like, I used to leave my house and for hours be out on the road looking for stuff like that. And it was fun. And now it's okay, but it doesn't give me the charge it used to. I love just doing different things, you know? Oh, this is a good one. Thank you, Just a Catholic Girl 7. I'm going to help you with this one. I have tons of old paperwork, like EOBs, not sure what those are, monthly bills. Do we keep for a certain time period? Okay, you can easily Google that. What I will say this is how I roll, is I don't like paperwork. So I keep my process to as simple as anything. I know that, for example, your tax documents, you're supposed to keep for 7 years. This is what I want to offer to everybody, to just think about your paperwork differently, right? And this is great because I'm actually at the desk in our living room, so like I can pick up something. I've got a little thing that I just, for years, I have a process that works for me. But like, for example, what do we got here? Okay, so this piece of paper right here, I realize it might have some revealing things on it, but I put it in my file of things to keep. But it probably has an electronic equivalent somewhere else. So I could throw this away and not worry about it. Now, everybody, including myself, oh, gotcha. Health insurance mail, I mean, are you going to read it? I'm not. However, I might feel like, oh, I should probably keep that. So I make it wicked simple. And I just will offer to you that just remember that you could shred, like you could put those things in the recycle bin right now. And if you ever had to look up your explanation of benefits, I bet they're on the internet. Okay. Anything, your credit card statement, any of the statements that you get for bills you have to pay, there's an electronic equivalent of that already on the internet. Now, I'm not saying that if it makes you feel secure and it makes you feel good to do a process where you have your paper and then put it away, save it. But what I will also say is you can also throw that stuff away probably at the end of the year. Just think about how often you actually do go back and read those things that you save. Probably none. But if it gives you peace of mind for like the next year or so for you to do that, do it. And then at the end of the year, what I do is I get all those papers together. I pull out the ones we need for our taxes, and then I put them in a bag, and I have a specific tote in the basement that I put the paperwork that I'm like, oh, this should probably be shredded. And then I pay attention to when there is a community shredding event. And when there is a community shredding event, I will take those things and get them shredded. Okay. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it was a spirit affirming you out the window. The other day, I get to share this with you, Psychic Delight. So yesterday's video, if you watch that, it's up on YouTube. I was talking about how I had taken my morning walk, and I go through this cemetery a lot of times because it's, and I have a friend there. And when I was talking about my walk in the cemetery, and I was saying that everybody who is there just would love to be able to live again. And so we need to start making sure we're living, we're taking appreciation of our lives. I'm not kidding you. The lights flickered in my house. I'm taking that as a sign, as they were like, spot on, lady. You tell them. Okay. What about all school research papers, boxes and boxes, reflects years of research grad work? You know what, Love Lavender 03? I think that's great that you did research and grad work. You need to just remind yourself that you have all that knowledge in you. You can keep it if you want, but if it's weighing you down, are you reading it again? Do you have somebody you can share it with in the house? If not, I mean, we often save things as reminders to ourselves of the good stuff that we have done. And if you can absorb that and say to yourself, you know what, I am no less smart if I put that in the recycle bin. You can look through it. You can remember yourself at your hard work. You can tell yourself you can live through that. And then you can take the story from it and then release the thing. Okay? Yep. And I would say my papers are in a safe that is buried in a closet. I don't collect my papers often. See? How often do we do that? Like, it is a big old waste of time, but if it makes you feel secure to do it, but then also have a plan so they aren't taking over your life, you know? What's a quick way to go through boxes and boxes of papers? Well, here's a cool thing. You can divide up that when there's boxes and boxes, that implies a certain amount of overwhelm. And this is something I will probably be repeating for the rest of my life, but it is so important to realize that overwhelm just means you're looking at it too big. So when you say boxes and boxes of papers, overwhelm equals chunk it on down now. Here with me. Overwhelm equals chunk it on down now. Overwhelm equals chunk it on down now. Overwhelm equals chunk it on down now. Okay? So what I mean by that is if you have boxes, start with one box. And in that one box, go through the paper. And there's many ways you can cut up the pie that you can decide how you're going to sort them. And it depends on how organized they were when they were in there. If they are totally disorganized, I would literally start by what year did I get this piece of paper? Can I do it? Or is it all for the same year? If I did, is it certain amounts of like, oh, here's all the Pico bills, here's all the Verizon bills, here's all this. There are different ways that you can put like items together. But there's certain themes you could do. Maybe these are all my medical papers and they need to be subdud. But whatever you do, you can take something that's big and you can chunk it on down to smaller bits. Like, a pyramid was built, with one brick at a time. But if you're overwhelmed by the pyramid, just know you can also take it away, you can also, one brick at a time will also dismantle a roadblock or a pyramid, okay? And it isn't quick, but it's the good way to do it. And you can apply this chunk it on down now, is to anything that you are overwhelmed by. Any project, any road trip. Oh, this is a great time for me to put my map out. I realize I haven't used it yet. So this is what I say. Overwhelm is like wanting to go on a road trip, like knowing that you really want to get to Palm Springs, California, but you're over here, and being overwhelmed because you see all these roads and you don't know what to do, so you don't do anything, right? Sorry, got distracted by my husband. Everything all right?
All good, sorry.
It's all right. Getting overwhelmed means that you're just looking at it, the entire map, as opposed to saying, I'm here today with the amount of time that I have, what can get me closer to that? So for me, I'm in Pennsylvania. For me to go to Palm Springs, I would probably be driving west. So, okay, I can get onto the turnpike. I can drive for a few hours. Maybe I'll end up in Ohio, So chunking it down into the actionable things you can do that day is the only way you'll ever get there. If I get overwhelmed and I never start, I never get there. But if I say I'm going to chunk it on down now, I could get from here. Sorry, my glasses. I could get from here to like Ohio and then spend the night and then drive a few more hours, spend the night, drive a few more hours, spend the night. See what I'm saying? You see, you make progress. The only time you don't make progress is when you don't do any of it. Okay? Oh, awesome. Rhonda, thank you for letting me know that I helped you with your paper clutter this week. Separated it all. I love it. Just putting it in that, there's a part of your brain that loves seeing patterns. And you can click a lot of this sorting. Once you make a decision of how you're going to sort some stuff, it clicks into a nice part of your brain where you don't have to make a lot of effort. Your eyes will see something that will say, there's the Verizon logo. There's there are those papers with the red on the top, which hopefully doesn't mean you're not paying your bills. But there's parts of your brain that will begin to see the patterns. And that's why, too, with your talking to yourself, when you have negatives, like when you go look for the bad stuff, you're going to find the bad stuff. When you look for the good stuff, you're going to find the good stuff. And it's all because you will focus on what you focus on, you're going to find. Okay? My goal for boxes is to go through one at a time, hopefully by the end of the year. Yeah, do it. You may be able to do it in less than the end of the year. And when you say hopefully, you can make it happen. You do it. But I'm drowning in old photo books from past 100 years. Okay, so drowning. Here, I'm throwing you a little lifeline. You're not drowning. What I will say is this, photo books. Think about why you even have the photo books. They are shared memories, right? They are shared memories. There are other people. I'm assuming they are family. So share them with the family. Have a time over where you all look at them. You could get them digitized if you want, so you could easily share them. But the thing I want to offer to you is some people have no photos at all. So I don't mean to make you feel bad, like you're like, oh, I'm feeling bad about my photos. But what I will say is share them and share the memories behind them. Like the stories you have of the people in them, share those stories with the people that are around, especially the younger generations, because when you pass, nobody's going to know who's in those books, okay? One photo book at a time. Maybe what you do in the photo books is you literally look at them and you just organize them by decade, or, and then you start with the oldest ones and then you move forward, chunk it down and tell the stories and share the stories, okay? Yep, you don't start because you get overwhelmed, so I need a step one, okay? Step one can be a variety of things. Step one is, if it's a general room you just want to start to move into, you will set a timer and you start with your surface clutter. Your surface clutter, any horizontal surface of your home, from your floor to your desk, to your tabletops, to your counters, any surface that has stuff on it that isn't supposed to be there. Put the stuff that's not supposed to be there where it's supposed to be. Trash in the trash, recycle to the recycle. Start with the easy stuff. Paperwork closer to where it belongs. That's another thing too I was thinking about today, is that sometimes when I have been in people's homes or I've seen people decluttering where they're like, well, this belongs in the kitchen, so I'm going to walk to the kitchen and put it there. No, get it closer to where it is, but try to confine yourself as best you can to a certain area so you can see massive action. I don't like that phrase, actually. you can see a positive difference in that one space. If you put something out into the kitchen, then you may see in the kitchen that something else needs to be done. You may do something in the kitchen. Remind yourself what your goal is, to say, for the next 20 minutes, I'm only going to work in this room. And I'm going to put the things away that don't belong. When you get specific about your destination, you're going to be more likely to get there versus I'm just going to declutter. So if you get a little bit more specific, that helps your brain put the blinders on to say, is this going to help me get this thing done now or not? Okay. Rhonda, I don't know. If you don't know them, does anybody in the family know them? If you don't, maybe, you could sell them to like an antique store. You could throw them away. You could burn them in a funeral pyre. There's all sorts of things, Oh, let me just hit something right here. LookieLou2022 says, I keep saying I'll do that when I retire. Now, I'm not saying that you don't have time now, but anything you think you're going to do when you retire, start now. Life is not guaranteed. I say this for 100% because I had to take a big scary leap a number of years ago when I left a job because I had this project I was working on that I knew if I waited until I was retired, the stuff I wanted to talk about the stuff I wanted to write about wouldn't be around anymore. And case in point, it's totally like it is. So start whatever you want to do a little bit at a time. So then just think about it, LookieLou2022. If you start doing that stuff now, then when you retire, you have just retirement can be free and easy. Okay? For photos, do you like boxes or books? I mean, you can pick, this is a wonderful thing, you can pick whatever you want. I personally, and I think this will appeal to many of you, but this is just how I roll and this is how I coach, is at a certain point of decluttering and organizing, I think that I know that I get to a point where there's an area of tiny, detaily specificity that I would rather go do something else in my life than get so specific. And one of the things I mean is photo books. I used to put my photos in photo albums, and I still have them. And yet anytime you want to move one photo to another, I just don't do that anymore. I don't even actually have a lot of photos, printed photos anymore, but I use boxes. I use boxes because I can pick them up, I can spread them out, I can sort them out, I can decide what I want. It's just a lot easier for me to touch them and to share them and put them back and shuffle them around, like play with my toys. It's much easier to do that than when you get a whole, what do you call it? Like a photo album. When it's in that way, it seems like the album is a big thing and you feel weird about pulling it apart and taking the photos out. If you just have the photos, it gives you a lot more flexibility as to what to do with them. Yes, decluttering totally makes cleaner faster. And then I got to tell you, if you ever want to hire somebody to be your cleaning person, your house will get a lot cleaner when you are decluttered and you're not always freaking out cleaning for the cleaners, right? Song by song, that works. A song is a great unit of measure. If you say, I have a little playlist that I play, or I'm going to declutter for 10 songs, or until this, you know what I mean? Like, pop songs are usually 3.5, 4, 5 minutes, Yep. Yeah, here's the deal. I love it. Lovely Lavender, you and me both. I really feel sometimes for me, there is better things you could do with your life. If you can find your things, if you know where they are, you don't need to get so hyper specific about it. That's why I say, and it was interesting, somebody kind of lovingly took me to task for this in one of the comments when I talked about my idea of, if you have no filing system for your papers, I say get a box, put 2023 on it, all of the papers you think you want to save, if they're not your recycles, if they're the things that you've gone through and you've sorted and you made a decision, I feel like I should keep this, just put it in the box. You don't have to sort it out by things. And you don't have to be oldest to newest. That's outmoded. That's outmoded. We don't live in a 1950s Mad Men, there's only one piece of paper and if it's not filed in the right place, we'll never find it world. We live in a different world. Yeah, labeling that stuff, no. I mean, I have a system that works for me, but if my system didn't work for me, I would easily be putting my everything into one pile. And if I had to go look for that Verizon bill from October of 2022, I would know to look in the 2022 box, right? Oh, see, and this is why I say, cue cards for the brain. Husband just died. I am so sorry to hear that. Having to go through 40 years of his stuff to do the estate sale. Well, I hope you find some good stuff that you can make some money off of from the estate sale, but my heart goes out to you. And this is why I say to all of us, if not for you, then think of the people that if you suddenly and unexpectedly die, somebody else is going to have to go through your stuff. There's a book that I have in the other room that I got out of the library, because I also don't buy a lot of books now because I like the library. The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning. It's a small book. You can get it out of the library if you want. Don't buy it because it just adds to your clutter. I'm sure the lady's doing fine without her book sales. But what I will say is this, is the gist of it is, you're the only person who can make the decisions about your things. You know the stories of them. Do not leave them as a burden to other people to have to go through your stuff, okay? So, yeah, too much clutter without a cleaning lady. But when you get, trust me, my goal, I think it's a delight when you can have somebody else do the cleaning, like the blinds and the everything. So makes it either. So, all right, where are we now? Okay, so we're 10:09 Eastern time. Maybe a good time for me to reintroduce myself or introduce myself for the first time. My name is Beth. I do coaching for Destination Decluttered. That's what I call my one-on-one coaching business that you and I would work for a 10-week package, one-on-one on Zoom. We talk about nothing except you and what your clutter struggles are. And we do before and after pictures, and you learn skills. And that's what I'm showing you right now is the things that I would tell you if you were my client, which would be how to get yourself decluttered and stay that way. And not just your home, but the thought processes that you use to hone in on, is this adding to the life I want to live or not, is also a skill that you can use in every other area of your life so that your life becomes something that you love. It's not cluttered up with stuff you don't want and feelings you don't want and people you don't want or whatever it is. You can use these things in your life, okay? Yeah, ask your kids if they'd want it once you're gone. If they say no, yes, get rid of it. Honor that. Do not, you know how we all have a lot of guilt. Many of us have a lot of things that we have in our houses just for guilt, or we inherited them, or somebody gave it to us, or somebody died and we just brought all their crap into our house. Let's break that chain. Let's be the generation, whoever we are, wherever we are in age life now, let's not pass on those bad cluttery habits to the younger generation. Now, the good news is many people in the younger generation, because they are only growing up in a digital world, they don't get they're not as attached to things, and that's a grand overview, but what I will say is this. If they say they don't want it, believe them. Do not guilt them into taking something that you saved because you thought they might like it, Yay, Yvonne, you decluttered your refrigerator today. That's awesome. That's wonderful. I like your way of thinking, but I am going to work. Do you save lives so I can see? Yes, I do. Thank you. Do you save lives? I read it. I'm like, I think I'm saving lives, but that's kind of dramatic. Yes, I do. So Rosie Herna, go to the Destination Decluttered YouTube page. I have uploaded all of the lives that I've done so far. And a bunch of the videos that I have here on TikTok. I'm starting to do that over at YouTube too. Because I will say this, folks, if you know somebody who could benefit from what I'm saying, if you know decluttered people in your family, friends, neighbors, anything, let them know about what I do. It might help them. And if they are not on TikTok, I post on Instagram, I post on Facebook, I am on YouTube now. And I have a website, destinationdecluttered.com. I've got an email mailing list. There are so many ways that I am trying to really just put myself out there so people can find me. That's why I started doing these lives just a few weeks ago, and I found them to be so fun and so helpful. And that's why I'm showing up to do them. Now, next week, as I said, I'm going away, so you can watch the other ones, but I'll do one or two before I go, so I'll take care of you. Don't worry. I think the clutter is part of what keeps me here, though. Well, Teal May, I see your unhappy face with the tears, so if you're here, what I want to offer is if your here is making you crying, maybe you want to think about creating a here that makes you smile, okay? A place that you are. Thank you. I just got a notification that Rachel, thank you for subscribing to my YouTube page. I just reactivated that this week, and I've been so excited that what I'm doing is helping people. So thank you for letting me know that what I'm doing, with my time, and I have to actually watch it because I just realized I have a coaching call coming up with a client. So I will be on here for the next 15 minutes. So then I can give myself time to prepare for my client because I love my clients. And I'm so excited to see her progress. She sends me, I do a thing where you send me like before and after pictures. So I'm so excited to see her progress because she and I talked about what her destination is. And I hold this picture in my heart of how awesome her home is going to look and how she's going to feel when her home looks that way. Yeah. Okay. Maria, how do I deal with the guilt of throwing things away? First of all, I will recommend this. Instead of throwing it away, think of donating it. It makes it easier. If you think of the thing that no longer serves you may serve somebody else, that can make it easier. That can ease your guilt. But the other thing too is if you don't want it, at the end of the day, you want it. You don't want it. Part of you is saying, this does not support the life I want, right? And I will bring up this metaphor again because this is how I coach and this is how my brain works. And I think it helps because it gives you a framework of something you already do in your life, which is imagine yourself in the driver's seat of a car, right? And your thoughts are passengers in that car. And your thoughts either get you where you want to go to, encourage you to drive towards that, or they keep you stuck. So when you have guilt, guilt is keeping you stuck. You're not throwing away that thing or you're not donating that thing because you have thoughts in your head that are making you feel bad for wanting to release it. So I would examine those thoughts. Why do you feel guilty? What are the thoughts behind it? And just know that there is that co-pilot. You've got the backseat driver. It works for your good. Like your co-pilot is love. It wants you to feel better. Your little kids in the back seat, they are afraid of change. They are afraid you're going to get in trouble if you find out that thing, you got it as a gift and somebody's like, where's that candy dish I bought you? Just examine where the guilt is coming from. Get curious about it. Get curious with compassion and curiosity. Look in your own heart and see what comes up. And then calm down the kids in the back seat, and that will help you release the things, okay? I make it sound a lot quicker and easier than it sometimes is, but it's also not that difficult. And when you start to pay attention, not just with the stuff that you're holding on to, but any of those thoughts that are coming in the back seat, when you start to listen and say, where in my car is this thought coming from? Is that a backseat driver thought that is keeping me stuck? Or is that a co-pilot thought that is wanting me to move my life towards the direction I want? Then you realize you have an option of who you listen to, who you believe, and ideally, you want to believe and listen to your co-pilot because your co-pilot is like your soul. It's like God. It's like your best friend. Just wants you to be the best you can be. Because when you are the best you can be, you are the best you can be, not just for yourself, but for everybody that comes into your orbit. I would not be sitting here talking to people from around the world on the internet if I still was stuck and I thought my life sucked. I would not do that. But I have learned ways that are not too difficult and they're kind of fun and they're easy to understand to get my life looking and feeling better. And I freaking love my life because it looks and feels better than it ever was. And I'm always working towards making it better. And the work doesn't feel like work because it feels like fun. And knowing that, I then show up better and bigger to help other people. That's why I'm here. If this didn't work, you wouldn't see me. But I'm here because it does work, okay? Yeah, nobody wants old math books. Sadly, yes. Nobody looks at that stuff anymore because the world is evolving and we can get the information on the internet. The world evolves and it's okay. Say thank you. This is like a Marie Kondo thing, but I do it sometimes. Say, thank you, book. Thank you, book, for all the knowledge you gave me. Now it's time for you to, I don't know, have a funeral pyre. Burn them in a fire pit or just, nobody donates. Yeah, it gets out of business. So either put them in a recycle bin. There might be a place. I think there are places. Google this. Who was that? Ninja Auntie. Look in your area. If you have anybody who has textbooks, there may be a place that you can recycle books. Google it. I don't know where you are located geographically, but there may be a place that's recycling for hardbound books or softbound books, all right? Just sort of my mugs when you were talking. Thank you for the, yay, you're motivated. See, I'm telling you, it works. It's just a little bit like put a little gas in your tank, a little pep in your step. Yeah. And you're not going to miss those mugs, and then you're going to have some room. Now, the thing I want to offer you, though, too, is especially with mugs, we use them for, like, souvenirs and things like that. Be really careful about adding more mugs into your house. I'm not saying never do it, but just remember to really hold yourself to a high. Like, if that mug is, like, the nice size and this, and it really fills all the qualifications, but know that you can remember a place that you went without buying the souvenir mug. And you can, so I just want to offer that to you. Yep, there are different ways to get books out of your life into somebody else. I come from a really booky house and family. My mother has way too many books that she will never read, but luckily her library does sales. My sister's does sales. Like, we are already making plans for when my mother passes what to do with her books. And that's what I will also offer to you guys too. You may be not cluttered at all, but also if you have parents that are alive and they have a living space that has items in it, you will be the person most likely to go through their stuff and have to empty out their house. So the better you can build your muscle now about how to declutter and clean your own house, the easier it's going to be for you to make those decisions with your parents and then after they're gone. Okay? Happy Heart 1963. I'm so glad you found me on your FYP too. I don't know how I quite get there, but I seem to be connecting with people who, could benefit from what I'm offering, and that's why I've been showing up for the past many days doing these TikTok lives about decluttering. Destination Decluttered. 2 words you can easily remember, and you can always remember it because you've got to think of, like, where do I want my life to go to? I'm on a road trip instead of a commute. Like, where's that place I'm excitedly driving towards? Not only so when I get there it's going to be awesome, but it's a road trip, so I'm having fun along the way while I am going to a place that I love. I used to do road trips for years, so I 15-year-old. Oh, there you go. There you go. If somebody can make money from that stuff, go for it. I will say this, that, oh yeah, shake out your books just in case cash is stashed somewhere. With the topic, because this hasn't come up yet, but I know this has come up on previous TikTok live. So I just want to mention, if you are holding on to things that because you want to sell it someday and you think it might be worth money, do yourself a favor right now and look on the internet. Set your timer so you don't get down the rabbit hole, but just think of the things that you have that you think might be worth money and look and see what people are paying for those things right now. Now I say that because sometimes we hold on to things that we think are going to be worth money and they end up not being worth money anymore because times and tastes change. The one tip I will give you is the older generation tended to think that the expensive things, the things they spent a lot of money for the dining room, would be worth a lot of money. And sometimes they are, but oftentimes everybody's grandma has china, so that they're not really they may not be as pricey as you want. However, the younger generation is grooving on the stuff that you may not think was worth anything, though it was in the kitchen. The Corel, the Pyrex, the Libby glasses, any of those things that are maybe of the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, that kind of thing that reminds them of the times when they were kids. So there's that. Okay, so 212 Tony, I will totally get that. You say you can remember, but as you get older, you forget. Stuff can trigger treasured memories, and I'm 100%. You and I are totally, literally on the same page about that. So what I will offer is, if you save stuff that tells you good memories and it's not in your way and you want to get rid of it, you want to save it. But what I want to offer to you too is you can get, and if I was at my desk, I would have my really nice, I have a nice kind of bound notebook that I write stuff down in. And I would offer to you too is, you don't need to keep the thing to keep the memory. If you're not relying on your brain to remember these things, I totally get it. Your brain doesn't often have to be just a file cabinet. But get yourself a nice notebook. Get yourself what I call like a keeper notebook. And think of it as your travel journal. And anytime you are remembering a memory that you want to save for yourself or for other people to know, just write it down in a book. So you've got that book to remind yourself of it. And then share those stories too with other people in your family, okay? That was a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up because I will say that it's like they will live on in your heart when you do remember them. That's what I mean, okay? I appreciate that. I will be power watching your YouTube videos while you are away. Yes, you know what? Cow Dog Designs, do this. While you're doing that, again, I say this to everybody. I really don't change, and I'm like, my face is not why I'm here. It's my information, and it's what I'm sharing with you. So please do this. Don't power watch. Power listen. Put it on wherever you watch the YouTubes and stuff like that. And then while I am talking to you about clutter, look around your house. Use your hands. Start putting stuff in the trash. Start putting stuff in a recycle bin. Start putting things in bags and boxes to be donated. Don't just be a passive consumer having things wash over you. If you're wicked tired and you're exhausted and whatever, I get it. I sometimes that's why TV, like I can't even do anything. Just let it wash over me. But the best thing you can do for yourself is you have time and a bit of energy is to make a positive difference in your specific situation. Okay? Yay! There you go, Awesome Floss 14. I'm glad it's helping because this is why, again, you guys, I'm just a human being in my own living room on a rainy Friday morning. But I am using my time of my life, and I'm looking at my clock. I got to realize I'm only going to be here for another 7 minutes. But I am doing this because I know what it feels like to be on the other side. I know what it was like when I was stuck. I didn't have any inspiration. I was afraid. Nobody around me really. It was like, no, you just live the life you do. You should be lucky for what you have. You have it better than other people. Who are you to think you could do something awesome? Like, just do what you have to, not what you want to, was kind of the unwritten mantra of how I was growing up. you know? And I believed it. And so I was stuck and unhappy. Now, I'm not to say that I didn't have good, like, it's not like it was all painted with one brush. But I will say, once I started realizing that I could pay attention to what was important to me and go for it, even in those dark days, even in those days where I didn't know what was going on, the few times that I clued into what was important to me and I did something about it, those were the leaps forward in the enjoyment of my life. And I realize they don't always need to be leaps, but what I want to encourage you is your life is worth it. You are worth living whatever life you want and you're not having right now. You deserve to go for it. Okay? There you go. Filling recycled bin with tubs of old journal articles from dissertation research. I do the same thing. Like when I used to write my travel guides and things like that, I would have notes and papers and pamphlets and things like that. But then when I was done, I didn't really need them anymore. So recycling. Yay. Good. Listen to you all week. What a help you've been. Reorganize for an hour a day. Yay. That's awesome. I am glad to hear that what I'm doing is working. So much in the fact that I will say this, like gratitude wise, I am doing this to help the world. You, one person at a time. But thank you for letting me know that what I'm doing is working because seriously, it's been fun to say, oh, look, I say to my husband, oh, this is fun. Look, I got some more likes on my TikTok page, or it looks like what I'm really doing is helping people. That makes me know I'm on the right road. And when I know I'm on the right road and I'm helping people, I will show up more. I will consistently say, yes, this is good that I'm doing. I'm not going to give up because it's not working. I'm going to say, this is making an improvement in people's lives. So I offer that to you to say, every time you declutter, even if it's just for 20 minutes, you have made an improvement in your life. So show up and do it again. The only time you don't make progress is when you don't do it at all. And I will say this, there are days, you will have days where you won't do anything at all because of certain, like if you're sick or you're away or things like that. Don't beat yourself up about that. That's why when you sign up for my mailing list, destinationdecluttered.com/join, and you get the my habit tracker worksheet. I call it pavers and potholes. And I call it pavers and potholes because you will hit potholes. On your road trip of decluttering, on your road trip of life, you will hit potholes. You will hit bumpy spots. You will hit places that it says road closed or detour or, whatever. But if you're excited to get to where you want to go to, you won't let those things, I will say, derail you, because somebody just said, help me get back onto the declutter train. Like, cars are not derailed. Trains get derailed. But what I will say is, when you are so excited about where you want to go and that life you want, potholes will just be potholes. You'll hit a bump and you'll say, oh my God, that kind of threw me off, but I'm going to continue going. Or, oh, this road is closed. Okay, but I really want to get to where I want to go to. I know there's got to be an alternate route to get there. How do I do that? You don't give up. You just find the way to go in there. But the only way you will do that consistently until you get there is when you're psyched about where you want to go. When you're not psyched about it, you're going to use any excuse to give up. So every day when you wake up, remind yourself of that life that you want, and know that every little thing you do, every big thing you do, everything you do, every better thought you have to encourage you gets you closer to it. Like, I wish I had my little notebook in front of me, because the Keeper notebook that I talked about where you could write stories, I use one that I use every day to remind myself of the good stuff that happened that day, the gratitude, the things that I did that moved me forward in my, making my life different by becoming a decluttering coach and showing up and things like that, to remind myself, to encourage me the next day, to say, you did good stuff yesterday, it's working, keep on going, you have a good life, you're adding to your good life, you're helping other people. So remind yourself of all the good stuff and you're going to find it. Calm down the backseat drivers, the negatives. They just don't want you to change, but they are coming from their own weird place of love and wanting to keep you safe. You will never lose those negative voices in your head. What we can do is quiet them down and listen to them, but you don't have to let them help. You don't have to allow those voices to steer your car, because no matter what they do, they can never reach the steering wheel. Only you can. So you can decide what voices you listen to in the world and in your life. Is it the backseat drivers that don't want you to change, that want to keep you scared? Or is it your co-pilot? Is it love, to say, you're only here on this planet for a short amount of time. Start living the life you want, okay? There you go. Before and afters. How can you get to habit tracker chart? Yes, I'm going to sign off because I hear my husband on the phone and I get stuff to do. So really quickly, everybody, I have a website, destinationdecluttered.com. When you go there, there's a join page. destinationdecluttered.com/join. There's a little form there. You just put in your email list. You get on my mailing list, and then it automatically sends you this 2-page habit tracker chart that you can print over. Like, you can use that for the rest of your life. It's free, but you can use it. You can print it out it's like a monthly thing. You can do that. Also, when you get on the mailing list, because who knows, TikTok could be gone in a hot minute, but I still want to get in touch with the people. I want to still be able to communicate with the people that really care about what I do and how I can help. So that's another reason why I encourage you to get on my mailing list. Versus any of these social channels. Like, this could be disconnected tomorrow for all we know. I don't think it will be, but what I want to offer is, I also value the fact that people have given me their email addresses on my mailing list. So I do a once a month Zoom call, a group Zoom call, where it's kind of like this format right now, but instead we're all on the screens, we all have our cameras on. You ask your question to me and I answer it for you, but then the answer to you helps everybody else, and then you learn from somebody else, and it's kind of fun. Okay, you could print, laminate, and use a dry erase. Again, whatever makes it easier for you to continue to use it. I don't care what you do, just use it, because that's when you get to make it your own. And it's all about finding a system that works for you. Okay. All right. Premier Password Manager. I'm signing off now. What I will say is this: Office Desk. Sort your papers. Realize what you need to keep, what you don't need to keep, and also some of these TikTok lives that I've done before that are on my YouTube page, Destination Decluttered YouTube. You will find some tips for that too. I'm signing off now because I have some decluttering one-on-one clients that I'm meeting with today, and I want to prepare for them and see their awesome successes and encourage them. So thank you very much. Oh, I have a gift from God. Maybe I do. God is my co-pilot. I am your co-pilot. We're all, anything that gets you to do things that make the world better, I think that's a pretty awesome thing. And that's why I'm showing up. Actually, this is my last one for the week. Stay tuned, I would say. Look for a post on my TikTok page that will show you when and if I'm going to show up next week, because I'm going on vacation. But don't worry, I'm going to take good care of you. Tomorrow I might do one from the car. We're going to see how that works, okay? But there's plenty of resources here. If you are cluttered and stuck, look at my listen to the lives that I did that are on YouTube. I've got the videos here. If you have a question that I haven't answered and you don't see an answer with it, send me a message through the TikToks message thingy, and I will do a video to answer it, okay? But in the meantime, have an awesome day. It was nice to meet you all. Have a great weekend too, all right? Bye.